are the peacekeeper in the room, there's a good chance that you're also the person who's swallowing the most. There's a good chance that you're also the person who is not being honest about your feelings. And there's a good chance that you're the person in the room who has the most internal conflict because you're not saying anything about it. So today we're answering the question, are you keeping the peace or abandoning yourself? And that is a really heavy question to sit with, but it's also a really necessary question to sit with, because if you can find the answer to this question, you can better your experience. So today we're going to get into why this happens, why you feel the need to be the peacekeeper, and we're going to get into the cost of always feeling like you have to be the peacekeeper. We'll also get into the pillar that this question falls under. So what we're going to start with is why you feel the need to be the peacekeeper. So here's one reason. Conflict once meant disconnection. A lot of us learned that when we had a problem with somebody, especially in childhood, when we had some sort of grievance or we wanted to share about how something just wasn't working for us and we're looking for some sort of compromise or change to be a better situation for everyone involved, it resulted in disconnection. Whether it be it made the environment tense, or you felt like you had to walk on eggshells, you were possibly faced with a silent treatment or even punishment. You learned that once conflict was introduced into a situation, it led ultimately to disconnection. And you learn that you don't want to be disconnected from people, that there is a cost to feeling disconnected. So you learn that in order to keep the peace, I'll just not say what's in my mind. I'll not say what's on my heart. And unfortunately, that led to a belief which is a belief that a lot of people hold. And I know that the whys that we're going to go over are ultimately those reasons why, and we'll go over the cost of what the consequences are of thinking that way. Because ultimately, what you're telling yourself or what you're putting into the world is that peace is more important than the truth. And in order for us to live in a world that we want to live in, peace can never be more important than the truth. The truth is paramount. There's nothing more important than the truth. So that's one reason why. Another reason, you were rewarded for being easy. I'll say easy. I put easy in quotes because, were you really easy or were you just swallowing a lot? Did you really have a lot to say, but you just knew that there was no space for it or there would be disconnection? So you decided to be easy. So some people feel like they're more palatable or they're almost stronger for being able to carry what feels bad inside of them. They're able to just put it to the back of their minds and they get over it, and they think that makes them a better person, or they think that makes them a more mature person. Again, we'll get into the cost. But because of that, it's because they were rewarded for being easy. They were told that was a good thing. And they may not have been explicitly told that, but, they hear things like, oh, you're so mature, right? For a kid, we're talking about these things taking place in childhood. Because everything has an origin. We are the adults that we are because we were the children that we were. And if we're not aware of what patterns we picked up in childhood and how those patterns carried into adulthood, if they were negative patterns, then it's really hard to become different adults. We kind of just become like growner versions of our childhood self, but there's not a whole lot of growth and understanding in between. It just kind of spins off into other maladaptive behaviors as an adult. So, as a child, being easy, maybe you were just complimented for it, like, oh, you're so mature, or oh, I never have a problem out of you, right? Oh, it's always them. You're the good one, right? You're the I wish I had 10 more just like you, right? You hear things like that where it's like, oh, if I don't actually express that I have a problem, then people like me better, right? That's a good thing. People tend to lean more into me when I seem easy. So that's a second reason. What's another one? You took, here, let me add to you. This personal. You took responsibility for others' emotions. You took responsibility for other people's emotions. So it's kind of sort of what we talked about in the second one. Instead of you also showing up as a person who has emotional needs as well, you just figured that other people's emotional needs were more important than yours, or their comfort was more important than the conflict that you wanted to communicate, or the discomfort that you had. Their comfort was more important than that. So you just took responsibility for their emotions. You just, again, you swallowed it. You're the person in the room who's swallowing the most. You're the person in the room that's like, well, I don't want to bring this up because it's going to make it awkward, right? You're the person in the group chat who really wants to say something, but you're like, no, it's going to make it uncomfortable. Or somebody is going to feel like I'm mad at them. Or, all the uncomfortable feelings, which all those things ultimately lead to, they're going to leave me, right? They're going to see me as such a person a person who's bringing drama. Oh, they're full of drama because they're the ones who are telling the truth about the situation. So I don't want to be the person who feels like they're bringing all the drama, or I don't want to be the person that's making it awkward for everybody because now we have to address all these things that are going on inside of us. It's easier to just pretend like they're not actually happening and move on, business as usual, right? This is something that a lot of people have experienced. So let's talk about the pillar that this falls under. The question of, are you keeping the peace or abandoning yourself? This falls under, pillar. So on this channel, we look at everything through the whole method. The whole method comes with 5 pillars. Witness, heal, own, love, execute. The whole method is a roadmap to transforming your life. It's not motivational, it's causal. You will experience change from going through the whole method and taking the steps to better understand yourself, because you'll literally transform from the inside out. It won't be trying to transform from the outside in. So that's why I love looking at everything through the whole method. It's built upon principles, long-lasting biblical principles, really. So, are you keeping the peace or abandoning yourself? The pillar this falls under is heal. And I'm actually going to add another pillar, own, because I don't typically talk about own on this channel, because this channel is really more so about awareness. It's about awareness of the patterns that you are carrying, because I believe that the first step to changing is becoming aware of what you need to change. And hopefully, I would like to offer people a level of confidence to change those things, because there is a cost to all behavior. So the reason why it's heal is because your willingness to abandon yourself in order to keep the peace is something that you learned in your childhood. It's a part of your origin story. It's something that you were taught in the environment you grew up in, that conflict was dangerous, that conflict only hurt other people's feelings, and that was wrong. It's wrong to make other people uncomfortable with your own feelings. So that is why it's heal, because in the heal pillar deals with the patterns that we created and learned within our childhood. It talks about the ways we needed to adapt to survive as children. So in heal, we go from burden to understanding. But also, I want to go into own, because own not unconsciously, own is the next step to all of the things we discussed in all the videos on this channel. Because in order to change something, you have to own it. You have to own the part that you are playing in it. And that's why own is a part of this pillar, because own naturally goes after the cost, right? Because when we talk about the cost, when I can tell you that this pattern of behavior that you're showing is ultimately going to cost you your happiness, your joy, your peace of mind, because it will eventually, even if it hasn't yet, it will at some point. If I can communicate those things to you, then you're more likely to change it. And that's ultimately what I want. I want people to feel less burdened by the patterns that they're currently holding, because you deserve to be happiness. We're only going to be here once, right? It's one life to live. And I don't want you to realize when it's all said and done, and I was going to say not to be morbid, but not even, because that's real. I don't want you to realize when it's all said and done that you swallowed someone. You never showed up as your honest self. And if you never show up as your honest self, you're never going to get what life can offer you. You will never get to the best parts of your life because you're too afraid to get there. So let's go into the cost. Again, heal and own are the whole method pillars this falls under. Now we are going to get into the cost. So, what is the cost of not changing this? And of course, we're not going to go over all the costs, because believe me, a lot of the patterns we talk about on this channel, they have a heavy weight of cost. But we're going to just talk about a few for the sake of time that we have. So, what's one of the costs? The first one, you lose your voice. It's one of the worst things you can possibly lose. It's like losing your faith and your voice and like hope. Those are the worst things that you can use, because they are such a currency in your well-being. Like your voice, your ability to speak up and like speak up for yourself. Not only that, not only speaking up for yourself, but your voice can build. Your voice can help people. Your voice can change the world. So that's on a larger scale. But you never get to those places when you lose your voice at a lower scale, right? When you lose your voice just in your relationships, you lose your voice to your romantic partner or your friends. When you lose your voice at that level, you can't use your voice in higher levels, right? So a big cost of this, of being willing to abandon yourself, is that you lose your voice. You lose your confidence to express yourself. You lose your confidence to protect yourself. You lose your confidence to have productive conversations with people so that you guys can get on the same page to be more cohesive, to be happier with one another. So that's a cost, losing your voice. Another cost, you build resentment. And you may be thinking right now, like, well, this kind of sounds like me, but I don't feel resentment about it. That's not yet. Because everything left to itself, it gets worse. It's not like what you're dealing with today, it's going to look like that a year from now. Resentment is going to build when you stop utilizing what God gave you to build and to protect yourself. And that is your voice. You're going to build resentment for the people who you feel like do not support your voice, or who squash it down, or who don't really want to hear it. And while that may have been something that happened in your childhood because you were in the environment that you were in, when you are still in that situation as an adult and you're still scared to speak up for yourself, that's something you have to own. Because nobody is keeping you in that situation right now. It's whatever story you're telling yourself about why you're remaining amongst people who do not allow you to have a voice, or who dismiss your voice, or who make it an uncomfortable environment for you to be honest. It's now your responsibility that you're still in that situation. And eventually, resentment is going to build. So before you become resentful and blaming the people around you for not allowing you to properly express your voice, you got to look at yourself first. You have to assign that blame to you. I can't even say some of the blame. You have to, because you can't control other people. The only thing you can control is the access that people have to you. So you have to first resent the fact that you were not in a position to be courageous enough to make this change. Because we're going over the cost. There's a cost to abandoning yourself. And that large cost is going to be resentment. And if it's not resentment today, it's going to be resentment at some point. So let's get into the third one. And this is a really interesting one. You attract stronger personalities. There's nothing wrong with having friends with strong personalities, because there's nothing wrong with people with strong personalities. People with strong personalities can be, a beautiful thing. If a large part of their personality is for the sake of good, and things that are in alignment with truth, and things that are in alignment with the way God intended for us to, support one another and lift one another up. There's nothing wrong with a strong personality, because it's a beautiful thing. Being strong in your positive convictions, and convictions that help other people, convictions that add to the world, that's a beautiful thing. So we're not talking about that as far as attracting stronger personalities. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm talking about attracting stronger personalities that you hide behind. Stronger personalities that when you see them doing something wrong or they offend you in some way, you don't say anything about it, because you don't have the courage to say anything about it. You're scared to say something about it. Either the way they're going to react, or they will invalidate you. They'll dismiss you. They'll make you question your reality. Those things. Because when you attract certain stronger personalities that like to exploit personalities that they know are not as strong as theirs, like they like to keep those people around because they want to be the top dog, and they know that certain personalities are not going to be able to survive the same way against theirs, it becomes a serious problem for you if you're the one who is underneath that. And when you are not showing up with the level of confidence that shows that you are willing to speak up when you're hurt, you're willing to speak up when you see something that's wrong. If you're not showing that you are that person, then this is where you're going to get stuck. You're just going to get stuck under these stronger personalities. I hope that some of this is resonating and some of it is helping, and people see themselves in this, because it absolutely, exists in the world. And you have to ultimately ask yourself a really important question. And that question is, if peace does not exist with your honesty, with you showing up and being who you are, and you being able to question what's happening around you, or saying, I have a problem with this, or things need to change because this isn't working for me. If you cannot do that and maintain peace in a relationship, is it really peace? Because there has to be something going on inside of you if you're not willing to communicate the things that you need to communicate. There's a lot of turmoil. There's a lot of turmoil that is under the surface of that. And I know that for a fact because I've been that person. And I also know what it can be when you stop being that person. I know what life can be like when you reclaim your voice and you have a willingness to separate. You know, you have a willingness to have a standard of truth, and you're unwilling to abandon yourself in order to keep the peace. When you no longer function like that and you no longer think like that, you become limitless. You truly, truly become limitless. Please don't lose your voice. And if you feel like you've already lost your voice, that's not the end of the story. You can reclaim it. And if you're looking to reclaim your voice, please join us in the whole community. It's where we talk about the whole method again, the whole method pillars: witness, heal, own, love, execute. We go over those pillars and we practice how to live the lives that we see ourselves living, how to be the people that we see ourselves being outside of our traumas, outside of our fears, because we need more whole people in the world. That's the only thing that's going to make the world better. When people show up believing that they can be their best selves, but not just believing that, but being transformed into it. Truly feeling like you are here for a reason and you can be deployed within your purpose because you have the confidence to believe that you have the authority to act in the world. Do not lose your authority for reasons like this. Do not lose your authority because you're so busy trying to keep the peace that the truth has fallen by the wayside. You don't want to be that person. Again, if you feel like this has resonated and you would like to find your voice or stop abandoning yourself or live a more peaceful life, come join the Living Whole community. The link is in the description of this video. So just click it. Just click it. And while you're at it, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to answer more questions like this and get more insight into the whole method. And if you're looking to just have more conversations around mental health, please check me out on social media at Talk Therapy on the Go. I am on Instagram and I am on TikTok. Thank you.